Hello, welcome to today's live demo. My name is Michelle and I'm part of the InView team. Today we're going to be talking about managing our images with an IPS session to a client gallery and how those associate amongst the different events and sessions that you are doing. So if you're an InView user, please feel free to follow along. If you have any questions, feel free to jot those down in the chat and I'll be happy to answer those along the way. But I do want to give you the key idea with one upload. You can create an in-person sales session, a client gallery, or a mobile app. And with that, you have the option to manage those images amongst all three of those session types. Okay, so really what that means is with one upload, those images stay in one spot. So you have access to those within that specific area and event. Therefore, you don't have to go and upload the images again to an in-person sales session or a client gallery or another subscription for your mobile app. So like I said, if you're new, feel free to log in and follow along in your admin and go through the session together. Otherwise, this will be recorded so that you do have the option to play that back in case you missed anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and you can follow along. All right. Let me get this set up here so that you can follow along. I'll share my screen. All right, go to my admin. All right, so right here, we're in the admin area of InView. So this would be your home page. And what we're going to do is go ahead and create an in-person sales session and run through some of those features and gather all the different types of actions so that we could carry those over. And, we're going to cover, the basics of managing the event images and the orders, but also to simplify your gallery setup with the presets. So this is all part of managing those images as well as the ratings and favorites. Those are some of the actions that are taken during those types of sessions. And then syncing those choices together, whether it's an in-person sales session or a client gallery. All right. And then the other things that we're going to cover is how to deliver the digital purchases in an IPS session to a client gallery. All right. And linking that email address to their choices. Okay. So when I go to create an event, I'm going to start with an in-person sales session that you can start with a client gallery if you'd like, if that's how you do your sales workflow. And this is going to be today is our managing images. Okay, so next step, I'm going to upload some images here. All right. So while those are uploading, when you're going through, when you're setting up a session, and these are some little topics that we're just going to touch on and features that we're going to touch on. So when the images are uploading, you have a place here where you can set categories. So if you have categories within that specific event, then you would create those here. So for example, maybe this is the digital downloads or the getting ready. That will just be one that we'll do for now, and you can password protect those. So that's one way to manage your images within your event and associate those. So I'm going to move those into here. So that image will be in that category folder. The categories are not used as much with an in-person sales session as they are with the online client gallery used for a second sale, because usually with an in-person sales session, you're managing that on the go. All right, so now that the images are set, I'm going to go to my event dashboard, and I'm going to go ahead and set up my in-person sales session. All right, and I'm going to hit continue. And one of the topics is setting up presets. So you can create presets to manage your quick settings or your settings amongst the events themselves so that you don't have to set those up every single time. And I'll go ahead and manually set this up just so you can see our initial workflow, which we covered last week. And we'll just go through this setup really quick because that's not our focus. So we're going to select all of our images for the slideshow and choose our ratings for an in-person sales session. And you want to make sure that your shopping cart is turned on. Show pricing, fulfillment, crop. All right. So now that that event is set up, you can go in and customize these settings. And when you're doing that, there is the option here to go ahead and manage your images in a slideshow. So how you would do that, if you wanted to move images around, you can do it like just by clicking these images and moving them from place to place, and that'll put them in the order you want for your slideshow. So that's one option for organizing those images. But then in addition to that, you have your the theming, and this is going to be an image display. You can turn on your watermark. And then I want to show you one more thing. This is going to be in the culling section. So when you're setting up your in-person sales session, you have the option to organize folders in favorites folders that can be part of a preset. And what that does is during the sales session, it helps you manage the customer's rated images and favorites. So for example, you can have these preset for wall art. So all their favorite images for wall art. And then you can also put another one for like their gift sizes or gift prints or grandma's favorites and albums. That's also an option. So that while that's saving, I'm going to add another one. Let's just say album and leave it at that. Make sure there's no questions. All right, no questions at this time. All right, so now what I'm going to do is go ahead and begin a sales session so that I can show you basically how those ratings and favorites transfer into a client gallery. So what I want to share with you before we go there is under images, you have the sort option. So you can sort the images right here at the top. You can hide the file names. You can also click and drag the images around if you prefer. So that's one way to organize these prior to setting up your sales session. So now I'm going to go ahead and begin my sales session. And if you notice, this client gallery has not been set up yet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and begin the sales session. And if you remember, I entered in the client's name and email address, and it's really important that you have the client's email address and that it's implemented in here when you're setting up the event, because every email address is tied to a specific client and the actions that they take during their time in a client gallery or an IPS session. So it records all of that information and like I said, the actions that were taken. For example, their rooms that they've designed using Room View, but also their ratings, their favorites, what's in their cart. So that's always very, very important to have that information. Okay. So I'm going to select my client and I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to showcase single screen today because we're just talking about organizing the images and not necessarily the the sales session itself. So I'm going to go through as if I'm doing a sales session, and I'm going to rate these images here so that I'm going to multi-select here so I can do that. And I'm going to put yeses on those. And I'm going to favorite these for a couple different folders, just so you can get an idea. So every time I rate them or favorite them, I can see where those go down here at the bottom. So under filter, this is a way to organize your images. On the screen, we have the yes, maybe no, depending on the culling option that you chose. So I know that there's 8 images that I have not yet rated, and I've rated 4 of those. And then over in all images, when I click on the heart, this is where those favorites folders go. So you have your categories that you pre-created, which sometimes those are useful depending on how you're doing your sales session. But what's really useful that we found is these favorite folders, because now I can just simply heart them and put them in multiple folders. So when it's time to go and select the products that they want, I now can simply go to shop the store, which is my price list. And let's just say they want to build out a wall collection. I now can choose from the rated or the favorites folder. So I can go in and pull in from the wall art option, right? And design a wall collection from their wall art. So that's one way to organize the images during a sales session. So it's really important. It makes you appear to be very professional and organized, which is important. All right, and so now I have that. I can add it to the cart. I can simply, showcase this in room view and put a frame on it if I want. And that's all set. So I'm going to add this to the cart. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and check out just so that we can move on to what we were really talking about today, which is managing the images. All right, and I'm going to do an in-person payment and place my order. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and go back to my admin. And now I have visibility to their ratings, their favorites, their order, anything that they had done action-wise during that in-person sales session. And where I can find that information is underneath images within that event. So remember, it's tied to an email address right here next to thumbnails under images. And when I click on it, it says, oh, this person has done an in-person sales session. So when I open that subfolder, it opens the folders for their ratings and favorites right here. So you have visibility to all of those and also what they purchased with their order number. So this is really great if you're wanting to, you have some post-production that you need to work on. You can take these images, select them, and download those or copy and paste them into Lightroom search. So if you go to download file names, hit copy, and then you can paste that into the Lightroom search and it'll pull up just those images. And that's if you use Lightroom and you are using our Lightroom plugin. Okay, so that's one way. But now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take you to the order, and you can get to the order in multiple ways. One would be right here within the event dashboard itself, or you can go to the admin, back to the admin and go to orders. But I'm going to click on this particular order number and open up the order receipt. And I am going to quit Teams here. All right. So now that I'm in the order receipt, I now have visibility to what they ordered and they paid in person. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this in person. And then you can see the different products that they ordered. So from here, you can fulfill very simply with InView if you are ready to order. Otherwise, if they need post-production, you can replace the images. You can either download or replace the images within the order itself, the event. Any orders that have not been placed yet. So basically it'll put it back in the gallery, and anything that's ordered after that will be the retouched and final image that you replaced it with. So you have that option. And then once you've replaced them and you're ready to go, you just hit fulfill with InView, select the products that you want to order, hit continue to check out, and that order is done and ready to go. Okay. Submit to lab, and it's at the lab. You're all done. So that's how you would manage the ordered images, depending on how you're producing those products, if you're ordering through InView or another lab of your choice, like H&H. All right, so I am going to go back, and I just want to manage these images here. I'm in the event dashboard, and let's just say now they prepaid me for digital downloads, right? Or they purchased a digital package, so they get all those images that they said yes to in digital form. So you can do that in the setup for the client gallery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit setup for the client gallery. And here it prompts you with a question, select images. You've already run an in-person sales session. Select images to get your client gallery started. So I can either select all of the images, or I can select just the client's choices, like the rated images and the favorites. Okay, so that's what I'm going to choose. And I'm going to choose to include the yeses and the maybes and not the nos. And so you can toggle off favorites folder or purchased images either way, whichever works best for you and how you want to do that second sale. And then also copy in-person sales categories to this gallery. So either direction. So those categories that I had set up for getting ready, for example, those can be included. Put best images into a new category. So I can create a new category that says the client's favorites. And then I can turn off the hide the all images and hit continue. So it'll only show that category of images. So it's pretty simple. It's quick. So I'm going to wait just a second, make sure there's no questions. No questions at this time. Okay. So now while that's saving, I can now go in here and select all the images. And I can include a preset if you've set one. And then go through each step. So I'm going to show you manually just so you can see what those settings are. So if I want my watermark turned on, if you want this to be password protected, include in the client access page, which is our landing page that can be attached to your website or a standalone for the client galleries. So I'll hit next, choose what price list and what fulfillment for the client gallery if you're adding a cart. And then if you wanted to be a part of the review program, which is our marketing program that we do in the spring and in the fall, or you can set up a custom one. All right. So now that that is saving and creating the client gallery, that way you don't have to go back and try to re-upload and figure out which images were your client's favorites, which ones did they buy for the digital package. It's all right there, and they can now be a part of the digital downloads. And I'll show you right here. So you can set up the look and the feel, just like the in-person sales session. We talked about that in the last live demo. But what I want to do is go ahead and go to digital downloads, and you can toggle that on. and you can select just a category, require a PIN. There's so many settings. Only that email address that is entered into the gallery can even see the download button. So those are all options. All right, so now that is how you would create a client gallery from the in-person sales favorites and ratings. All right, and then the download button is available. Their favorites are all right there. They can make a purchase instead of going somewhere else like Walgreens or Costco. It just makes it very convenient and easy for them to go ahead and purchase their products here from their digital downloads. All right, so let me make sure that I'm covering the bases here, and it appears that we have. All right, so understanding the basics of managing an event, images and orders, which we talked about, to simplify your gallery setup with presets. I'll cover that really quick. And then also the client's in-person sales ratings and favorites into a client gallery and syncing those choices. Now, one thing that I did not share with you, let's just say that you sent the client gallery over to the client and they went through and kind of changed their favorites and ratings and couldn't remember. You have the option here beside favorites, ratings, and orders. You can sync favorites and ratings to the original. So you can go back if you would like and sync those together. So that's one way that you can get back to the original if they forgot. All right. And we talked about using the client gallery to deliver digital purchased in the in-person sales session and how the client's choices link to an email address. And we talked about that. So it looks like we covered everything but the preset. So I'll just touch on that really quick. I'm going to go back to the gallery manager and you will see the presets right here. So under the presets, you can create a new preset. And this could be for the gallery or the in-person sales session. So you're going to choose which one you want to create. So if you create a client gallery, you could just say, let's just say testing presets. All right. And so when you're creating the presets, you want to make sure that you're including the preset, right? So you give your preset a name. Right now we're on access and security setting. So when you click on that, it gives you the option, how many days, then you save, and then you go down to selling and it gives you a whole new option. And once you're done, you just hit save, and that's how you would create your preset. So once you start an event, it's going to ask you, do you want to set up a preset, and you select that specific preset. All right. I hope that makes sense. Does anybody have any additional questions? Okay, not at this time. All right, very good. Okay, well, I'm going to just turn on my camera really quick so I can say goodbye and stop sharing my screen. Okay, very good. Well, thank you guys for joining me for today's live demo. We will see you in the following week for another event. So keep your eyes open and look for that in an email. And if there's anything that you guys want to hear about or learn about, please feel free to share that with us. You can email customer service, but you can also join our Facebook group. It's called Your InView Space. If you are not already in that group, please join. We do have lots of information there, so people share successes, and also if there is something that they're trying to figure out and help each other. It's a great way to build community there with those that are using InView. So All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.